Good evening, this is Eswatini TV News at 8, read to you by myself, Notilesi Tole, alongside Namakabizo Ngambule. First up, let's have a look at our top stories. The Taiwan Technical Mission is training 20 handicrafters on how they can effectively run their businesses, taking advantage of e-commerce. The National Malaria Unit has started its annual Residia spraying in areas that have high risk of malaria. Clerk to Parliament, Speaker of Parliament and the Attorney General have opposed Butana Dlamini's urgent application in which he seeks an interim order stopping the Senate elections in Parliament. And now the news in detail. The Taiwan Technical Mission is training 20 handicrafters on how they can effectively run their businesses, taking advantage of e-commerce. The chief of the Taiwan Technical Mission, Fernando Ye, says this will ensure that they continue to make money even in tough economic situations.
This is the second phase of the training of handicrafters by the Taiwan Technical Mission, one having been done in July this year. The chief of the Taiwan Technical Mission, Fernando Ye, says the training is a necessity.
Since last year, the COVID-19, there's very few foreign tourists come to visit Eswatini, and they are suffering because they can sell out their product. So how can we solve this problem? We want through this training course to upgrade their skill, to upgrade their quality. Then they have chance to put it in e-commerce platform. Only this way they can make enough money to sustain their livelihood.
Principal Handicraft Officer Zodwa Vilagati says such an initiative by the Taiwan Technical Mission will help the handicrafters establish strong and resilient businesses.
Namhlanje lana sinalaba laba bendibidwork nebeskotho sitobafundzisa ukuthi bangenda njani ukushintsha lama design abo ukuthi babe na new products emarket.
She says having undergone the training, she believes the entrepreneurs will diversify and grow their businesses. In total, the Taiwan Technical Mission has trained 40 handicrafters on the importance of diversity in business and e-commerce. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, Nelson Langamandla with Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Zulwini.
University of Eswatini Luyengo campus students participating in the Enactors Entrepreneurship Program for tertiary students have developed a new multivitamin-loaded juice which they say helps soothe COVID-19 symptoms. The juice has since been approved by the Eswatini Standards Authority and certified as containing generous amounts of the nutrients that help alleviate COVID-19 symptoms.
The multivitamin-enriched juice, which is a brainchild of the University of Eswatini Luyengo campus students, has been subjected to rigorous laboratory tests by the Eswatini Standards Authority, and the juice has been found worthy of consumption by COVID-19 patients, as it contains essential ingredients in relieving COVID-19 symptoms. Enactors Luyengo Chief Executive Officer Sindiswa Makakula says her team ventured into vitamin-enriched juice making after noticing glaring gaps with the availability of this product in Eswatini.
The rise in COVID-19 was a concern in the country, so we decided to come up with something that will help in combating this virus that is prevailing in the country. So we decided to come up with something that will actually help in reducing at least the symptoms of the coronavirus. And also, since other countries are already producing something that is like the juice, we decided to create something for us, by us, Emaswati, for Emaswati.
Meanwhile, Enactors Luyengo IT officer Ncinseko Sithole says the prevailing economic conditions demand all tertiary level students to develop an entrepreneurial mindset.
They should make sure that when they are learning, they do it with the view that when they go out there, they raise entrepreneurship ideas and start businesses so that they can be able to sustain themselves. Because the world we live in is changing in the sense that there is no employment opportunities. So it's very important that when we learn, we make sure that we embrace every skill, entrepreneurship skill.
The Enactors Luyengo team plans to have this juice available in the local retail sector. For now, production is done strictly by the orders received. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengiwe Ndlovu with Mbongwa Dube at Luyengo.
The Ministry of Economic Planning and Development's Microproject Unit has yet again thrown a community development lifeline at Ndondozi, as the unit is funding the construction of a new skills development center for persons with disabilities in this constituency. Project coordinator Bulawayo Mota says it is expected that this project will be completed by the end of October this year.
Projected overall costs for the under construction skills development facility for persons with disabilities at Ndondozi constituency stand at 800,000 emalangeni. Project coordinator Bulawayo Mota says Microproject has truly funded a worthy cause with the construction of this facility, as the development center will mainly focus on equipping persons with disabilities with skills that will enable them to thrive economically.
Sibusitwa micro project sibantu labakhubatekile kufundzele makhono lo utawusita yonke lenkundla lekhona.
He says the local chiefdom found it befitting to allocate a piece of land next to the main road to ensure that all people, even those on wheelchairs, have easy access to this facility. He says their chiefdom has always been against the idea of the sidelining of persons with disabilities from development initiatives. He says once completed, the Skills Development Center will help persons with disabilities be placed at their rightful position of being economically active. Some of the courses that will be offered in this facility include sewing, handicraft, bricklaying and other essential skills required by the economy of Eswatini. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengiwe Ndlovu with Mbongwa Dube at Ndondozi.
Manzini Regional Administrator Chief Gija urges Manzini residents to continue following the COVID-19 regulations despite the decline in daily confirmed cases of the virus. The regional administrator says the regional task team will continue to sensitize the public on the dangers of the pandemic.
Despite the decline in daily confirmed cases of COVID-19 recorded in the Manzini region, the regional administrator Chief Gija urges residents not to let their guard down.
Labanye abantu siyasibona ukuthi mhlambe babe sebacansi ngoba sekucekisiwe bese bona sebacekisa kokweqala okushutwa nguhulumende.
He says they have noticed that in the rural areas people do not wear face masks, but only do so when they go to town or see police officers. The regional administrator says Eswatini can only be COVID-free if people continue to wear face masks, sanitize and wash their hands, and social distance. He further urged the residents of Manzini to vaccinate, saying it reduces the chances of someone being sick from the virus.
Nje kakhulu kanti cha sikhona Manzini solukhona uyakhuluma.
He urges different sectors to support the region with resources, saying this will help in ensuring that the task team is visible in all the communities in the region. A statement by the Ministry of Health on Sunday reveals that 16,512 people have tested positive for COVID-19 in the Manzini region. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, Nelson Langamandla with Mbongwa Dube, Manzini.
Residents and the community of Ndondozi in an area known as Lutse have taken it upon themselves to rehabilitate fast-developing dongas, which are caused by heavy rainfall water which erodes the soil in rainy seasons. The community is conducting this project through funding assistance that is being provided by Eswatini.
Ndondozi is one of the areas in Eswatini that are prone to the washing away of topsoils, as many parts of this constituency now have dongas of various shapes and sizes, which are primarily caused by water forcefully gushing down from the mountains on rainy days.
Sisebenzisa lokho lesinako lokuyidodi mhlambe lokuthi kotokoto.
Rural Development Motivator Busisiwe Dlamini says it was upon realizing the negative effects of these dongas on people and the environment that residents came up with a plan to rehabilitate these dongas with support from Eswatini. Dlamini says before rehabilitation work began, Community members feared that these dongas would destroy their fields and homes, but now such fears are slowly coming to an end as the rehabilitation work is ongoing. Eswatini has been assisting the community of Ndondozi with building material and providing relevant expertise, while the community's role has been to provide manpower. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengiwe Ndlovu with Mbongwa Dube at Ndondozi.
The National Malaria Unit has started its annual Residia spraying in areas that have high risk of malaria. The Health Promotion Coordinator, Kapsile Nhlengetwa, urges members of the public who stay in affected areas in the Hoho, Lubombo and Manzini regions to take extra precautions to avoid mosquito bites this season.
The National Malaria Program urges members of the public to be safe from malaria this summer.
This means that the mosquito that causes malaria will soon be breeding and starting to bite people and infecting them with malaria if they are exposed and the mosquito has the malaria. So we are encouraging Eswatini to protect themselves from being bitten by the mosquito that causes malaria, especially in the areas where we know malaria is problematic in the country. That is mostly the Hoho and the Lubombo region and some parts of Manzini. We plead with Eswatini to actually take the necessary measures to protect themselves. We have already started the annual residual spraying, that is, we normally call it IRS, in the whole region. So we are asking that Eswatini allow us to spray their houses as we go out to spray as the program. This week we are spraying the whole region. So this week we'll be spraying in Bulanzeni, Manjengeni, Zinyane and Manyovu. And we ask Eswatini to please support us as we conduct this exercise.
The National Malaria Unit's 2020-2023 strategic plan states that 30% of the country's population is at risk of getting malaria, which is 285,972 people. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, Nelson Ndlangamandla with Vumingo Sinzinisa Mbabane. Some pictures sourced from the internet.
The Eswatini National Youth Council says it will be engaging young people in the 4 regions of the country and distributing to them the National Youth Policy. Head of Programs at ENYC, Dumsani Simelane, says this will help the youth know government's priority areas and how they can capitalize on them. Simelane said this in an interview on Monday.
Last year, Minister of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs, Harris Bulunga, launched the National Youth Policy. The policy addresses various issues which affect the over 70% youth population of Eswatini. Head of Programs at the Eswatini National Youth Council, Dumsani Simelane, says they will distribute the policy among the youth in all 4 regions of the country. From there, the policy will go to constituency level.
As a youth council, what we will be doing is we will be decentralizing the national youth policy so that it gets to the hands of all young people in Eswatini, especially out of school youth. Because a lot of the programs or a lot of the pillars that are in here speak to out of school youth. Yes, secondarily is school youth. So it's also very critical that all young people get their hands on the youth policy so that they align themselves with how development is going to be happening and which areas are critical that government is supporting between the next 3 to 5 years. So what we will be doing is, because the Youth Council works through organized structures at Tingula level, so we will be working through the Tingula Youth Associations where they will bring representatives from their constituencies. We will meet at a central place in each region due to resources constraints. So we will be meeting in all 4 regions through organized structures where we will be then presenting the youth policy and also distributing it at the same time.
The policy states that its action plan includes improving the enabling and supportive environment for addressing youth issues, laws, policies, and programs. Decentralizing the policy will ensure that government continues to be in line with its position of not leaving young people behind. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosima Vimbela with Mbongwa Dube, Mbabane.
Clerk to Parliament, Speaker of Parliament and the Attorney General have opposed Butana Dlamini's urgent application in which he seeks an interim order stopping the Senate elections in Parliament. They argue that Dlamini must demonstrate that if the elections proceed, the results will be irreversible. This is contained in the trio's notice to oppose Dlamini's urgent application to stop the Senate elections.
Butana Dlamini has sued the Clerk to Parliament, the Speaker of Parliament, the Elections and Boundaries Commission, and the Attorney General, and those standing for the Senate elections. Dlamini has filed an urgent application praying that the Clerk, Speaker, and EPC furnish him with the reasons for his disqualification from the Senate elections, if any, within 7 days from the date of service of a court order. Dlamini also wants the court to review and set aside the decision of the respondents to disqualify him from the elections. He further wants the court to declare that he qualifies to stand for the vacant seat for the Senate elections. The applicant has told the court that his disqualification from the elections is unconstitutional. He argues that he has not been given reasons why he has been disqualified, as he has submitted his tax and police clearances, among other requirements. The respondents have argued that the matter is not urgent. They have told the court that Dlamini's basis for approaching the court on an urgent basis is entirely speculative. They argue that the Parliament Petitions Act of 2013 empowers the court to invalidate a Senate election where there was non-compliance with the Constitution or the Senate Elections Act of 2013. They have added that an applicant who seeks an interdict must demonstrate to a court that if the event he or she wants to interdict proceeds, the results of the event are irreversible. They also argue that he or she must demonstrate that reversing the results of the event is akin to unscrambling a scrambled egg. In the matter, Dlamini is represented by Derek Chele, while the respondents are represented by Mdeni Vilagati. The matter is before Judge Ngosinati Masego. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela, High Court.
The court has allocated dates for the continuation and commencement of Sipho Shongwe's 2 trials. In one matter, Shongwe has appealed the extradition judgment served by Magistrate David Khumalo, while in the other, he stands accused of the murder of Victor Kamete.
In June last year, the Manzini Magistrates Court ruled that Sipho Shongwe should be extradited to South Africa after his murder case, which is still to be finalized in the High Court. Magistrate David Khumalo, who was presiding over the matter, said Shongwe had a case to answer in the neighboring country in terms of how he escaped from the Barberton maximum prison. Shongwe has appealed this ruling before the High Court. On Monday, his lawyer Noncedo Ndlangamandla, together with Principal Crown Counsel Macebo Nxumalo, approached Judge Justice Mavuso to pray that the matter be allocated court dates. Ndlangamandla has told the court that they have been informed by the High Court Registrar that the matter had been allocated to Judge Mavuso and that they should approach him about when the matter could be heard. Malo has also confirmed this to the court, stating that all papers have been filed, but they would avail any other necessary papers if instructed by the court. The court says it has read the papers, but what was missing was the extradition treaty between Eswatini and the Republic of South Africa. The court also says it has to be furnished with the Extradition Act, which it has to read before hearing the matter. The court has added that these documents should be filed this week. It then allocated the 20th of October for the hearing of the appeal. In another matter, Shongwe is expected to appear before Judge Ngosinati Masego on the 28th of September for the continuation of his murder trial. He stands accused of having a hand in the murder of Victor Kamete, who was shot in January 2018. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosima Vimbela, High Court.
And now let's have a look at our financial markets.
Standard Bank. It can be.
Good evening once again. You are still watching Eswatini TV. Let's have a look at our sports news. National women cricket team head coach Eswatini Dlamini says they lost the first two games in the ongoing ICC T20 World Cup qualifiers to better teams. Team Eswatini's first game was against Botswana, then Rwanda.
The national women cricket team is in Botswana to take part in the ICC T20 World Cup qualifiers. The team in the tournament has played 2 games thus far, which was against Botswana and Rwanda, but sadly they have lost in both games. Eswatini Dlamini, who is the national team head coach, says they lost both games because their opponents were tactically stronger than them.
Sifike sacuzelana lana neMavela setulu impela sethwele emasondvenyathi but ke kude lokubi lesingakuzami sesekuzame konke ngendlela lesilungiselele.
Dlamini says even though they came prepared for the tournament, but they got hammered in the first 2 games because their opponents were tactically stronger.
Esibili esadlala kiyo sicuzelene nelive lase Rwanda. Mantombazana ethu azame kakhulu ngako konke lanako emandleni impela ngoba bawubona nje ukuthi after 8 overs bese bakhiphe badlali abayi5 la beRwanda kwasetinfo setiyajika ke futhi base sebaposta itarget lesetulu ngempela angena ke mantombazana azama ngako konke la khonako.
Dlamini added that their focus is now on the next 2 games, starting with tomorrow's game against Tanzania, then the last one against Mozambique. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports, I'm Linda Dlamini in Babane.
Premier League of Eswatini chairman Mark Carmichael says Royal Leopards' CAF Champions League win against Esco United is a sign that local football is on a rise. Carmichael was speaking after Leopards' 1-0 win against Esco, a match played at the Mavuso Sports Centre on Saturday.
On Saturday, Royal Leopard took on Zambian sides Esco United on a CAF Champions League first leg match where Royal Leopard narrowly won the game 1-0. The Premier League of Eswatini chairman Mark Carmichael says the victory is a sign that our local football is on a rise.
Well, look, Zambia has always had a richer footballing success history than we have, but certainly from what we observe here today, we can see that we're on the up. You know, we did get the bronze medal in the COSAFA, so the country's prospects are looking better and brighter. And we look forward to a continued display like this and in turn lift the spirits of our humble country, beautiful country.
On the return of the Premier League games, Carmichael said local football fanatics can expect the start of the new season on the 8th of October. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports, I'm Linda Dlamini, Manzini.
That's all for now. Before I head out, let's have a look at our top stories. The Taiwan Technical Mission is training 20 handicrafters on how they can effectively run their businesses taking advantage of e-commerce. The National Malaria Unit has started its annual Residia spraying in areas that have high risk of malaria. Clerk to Parliament, Speaker of Parliament and the Attorney General have opposed Budana Dlamini's urgent application in which he seeks an interim order stopping the Senate elections in Parliament. And that brings us to the end of our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the weather update from myself and the team here at Eswatini TV. Thanks for tuning in. Good night.